the expansion first. So the 4 proposed expansion teams are Charlotte, Nashville, Las Vegas, and Montreal. And Rob Manfred cited all 4 of these as possible locations.
I think the A's are going to go to Las Vegas.
I think the A's are going to Vegas because they're going to fall the Raiders. But
plus that stadium's a dump.
Mm.
Stadium is terrible.
The stadium needs to die.
Terrible stadium and team.
But I was kind of surprised to see Montreal because they already tried that with the Expos and it didn't work. Do you think they're going to try it again?
Having the Montreal Expos back would be cool. They have some cool history there. They have
there's
Vladdy's dad, Vladdy Guerrero.
There's some history there, but I don't think they would make enough money. I think you're much better off putting teams in Charlotte and Nashville because
Charlotte's a weird one to me. Charlotte?
North Carolina.
Or maybe like Raleigh's the biggest city in North Carolina. Maybe put one in Raleigh.
I know, but like
you don't have a lot of teams down south, and I think both Nashville and Charlotte would.
I like Nashville.
I do too.
I think
Nashville would be like the best
Tennessee
fit out of the
Volunteers
4
is
to
a
me.
huge college.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the
Tennessee's
people
huge,
watch
and
Tennessee.
if you think about
Vandy, obviously down there. So.
right,
Yeah.
you think about some of the southern states, most of them don't have a pro team in them. Florida and Georgia being the exception.
Uh-huh.
Alabama doesn't have one. Mississippi doesn't have one.
Right.
Kentucky doesn't have one. Tennessee doesn't have one.
Right.
Like all of those states around there don't have professional baseball teams to root for. And I think putting one in Nashville would kind of change that, and it would be very successful, especially because of the type of town that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very lively town, and I think they would have a lot of success there. Charlotte, I mean, do you think?
I don't think it's bad. I'm just
I don't
saying.
think it's awful, but because you don't have one in the Carolinas either.
I think you should have one in North Carolina.
I think you should have one in North Carolina.
I grew up in North Carolina. I mean, it's like a perfect weather place, I think.
Mhm.
Right.
I
It would
think
make sense.
I think North Carolina's a big baseball
But should it be
place.
Charlotte or Raleigh?
Charlotte.
Charlotte just.
I would say Charlotte.
It's just
Isn't
Raleigh's
isn't
just-
like it
Raleigh's
downtown
more like a
kind
city.
of like
Raleigh's just the Hurricanes play there, and NC State basketball plays there. So that's Raleigh basically.
All right, so we're going with Charlotte then. I think particularly those two would be really good for the league, and it'd be a great opportunity to expand their fan base, and they would have a lot of new sources of money and partners to get. You're going to have a lot of new sponsorships.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of new eyes on your league. You're going to make a lot of more jersey sales. You're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think adding those 2 expansion teams makes a lot of sense.
pretty much just a
For the
benefit.
So Jim Bowden's proposed realignment of the conferences.
keep sitting.
Um,
It is a bill
So it would be an Eastern and Western Conference. It would be 8 divisions.
What was that?
That'd be so good.
Yeah, it would be 8 divisions.
Because it'd be 32 teams, right?
4 in the East, 4 in the West.
So would it be like the top team of each division makes it to a playoff?
So let me
I bet
get the whole thing out there, and then we'll get our thoughts on
Because
it.
aren't
Actually,
the MLB's now 3 wild cards, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
3 game
yeah.
wild card.
do you guys want to break it down by proposed conference or by proposed division?
Just give the divisions within the conferences. Just
Okay,
start
so
with
we'll start with the Eastern Conference. The East Division would be the Red Sox, Mets, Yankees, and Phillies.
That's terrible.
That would be the most toxic division in the history.
That's
of
just
baseball.
bad. We're not rivals with the Mets or the Phillies.
Thing is,
No,
I wouldn't
but
mind it because
it makes
these
sense
are like
from a-
cities that are closer too.
Right, it makes
Like,
sense
it
from a
would just
geographical
enhance the rivalry.
perspective.
But it's also like saying you would you take the Cowboys out of the NFC East, even though the rivals with Philly, Washington, and the Giants? You wouldn't do
That's
that.
a good point.
You wouldn't
Yeah,
do
but-
that.
That makes sense.
Miami is
I don't
like
really think-
Tampa.
I don't really see like the Red Sox,
You don't see the
I
Red
mean-
Sox as rivals with Toronto.
maybe Toronto, but I don't really see the Jays or Orioles as like a rivalry.
Yeah, but that's classic. We
rivalry
play them. We play them
themselves.
18 times a year.
Yeah, it's classic, but like the whole point
Really?
of this is like it's changing the whole concept of like how the league is built. You know what I mean? So like, you have to
That
think,
division also would
you
spend
gotta-
so much money. Holy cow! I'd love to see the payrolls there.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
my
It would probably be one of the more exciting divisions in baseball.
Yeah, I don't hate it, but it just would be weird.
The North Division is the Reds, Guardians, Tigers, and Blue Jays.
That's a horrible division.
I think the Blue Jays just
That's what I'm saying.
Dominate.
As a Blue Jays fan, I guess I'd be
Absolutely
okay.
dominate
Just
You
'cause
would love that division.
they would
You would
just
love
kill
that,
everybody.
yeah.
But like, that's not even fun. To, like,
Such a weird division.
that is
I mean,
that is a
you
weird
got
division.
you got the two Ohio teams, obviously.
And then Michigan and then Toronto.
I do not like these proposed.
Geographically, that makes sense, but like from
Who cares about travel? They fly on private planes.
Yeah, true,
Why is this a
but-
problem?
well, I don't know, maybe like for fan bases it makes more sense, but but the Blue Jays would just absolutely dominate that division. The Mid-Atlantic Division is the third in the Eastern Conference, the third proposed one, and it would be the Orioles, Charlotte, which is the expansion team we mentioned in one of the proposed expansion teams that we mentioned in the last segment. And if you listen to the last part of that, you guys will hear that too. The Pirates and the Nationals. So, I mean, I don't even know what to make of this one. Like the Pirates and the Nationals, just poverty, and then like, well, let's be honest. The Pirates have been terrible for years. The Nationals, okay, listen, I'll
Look
give
at
the
the Red
Nationals
Sox
that they
now.
won the World Series, but they're not going to be
Look
good.
at the Red Sox partner.
But they're not going to be good for a while. I'm
Terrible.
not saying the Red Sox are good.
terrible.
I'm not saying the Red Sox are good. I'm just saying the Pirates have been really bad.
Yeah.
All right,
The
let's
Nationals have been
get to
bad.
the South.
Last couple of years. I guess the Orioles would probably be the best team in this division. I mean, you have to see how good the expansion team would be. It could be like a Seattle Kraken situation where the Kraken are actually pretty good, surprisingly.
Well, the
for an
Golden
expansion
Knights
team.
made it to the Stanley Cup their first year
Yeah.
with a bunch of third liners. So that was impressive.
Impressive.
The Southeast in the Eastern Conference would be the Braves, Marlins, Nashville would be the expansion team, which we talked about would be a great location, probably the best proposed location for an expansion team.
We gotta get you to the city of Nashville. You're doing a good job marketing it right now.
I would love to go to Nashville.
I actually
Let's go this
I
summer.
wanna-
Let's go this summer
Texas
to
or
Nashville.
Tennessee.
Dude, if I
Let's
didn't
go
have
watch
a
a Tennessee game.
If I didn't have a job, I would. Actually, you know what? Maybe,
You're not
maybe,
working.
maybe on an off week.
You
Maybe
don't
on an
have
off
jobs
week.
and still go to
Maybe on an off week. We'll fly down there.
in the Rays.
And the Rays. I actually like this division. I think
I think it'd be competitive.
it would be competitive. I think the Marlins obviously need a little bit of a change before we can call them competitive. But the Braves and the Rays playing each other, not something you get to see very often. I think they would be two good teams to face off against each other if they were playing each other a
Well,
lot.
Also, I want to add, if we're going to do this geographical thing, I do not think the Tampa Bay Rays will be in Tampa.
Do you think they'll move?
Didn't they talk about them doing like half the year in Montreal, half the year in Tampa? And they said no to that?
When?
I believe they talked about this. I don't know. Somebody could fact check me on this, but I know they talked about it. What's up, Griff, by the way?
Let's fucking go.
Hey, Griff.
And
Good win last night.
yeah, good win.
Good W. Shout out St.
already
Joe's
just-
men's
He
basketball.
just
Have to
said
fucking-
that.
I'm shouting
He's
them
just a little
out.
delayed.
I'm
I
shouting them out.
just-
I just shouted
I'm-
him out.
You just said good W, and I was explaining to like what it was, because our listeners don't know because they can't see my listeners don't know on the podcast.
My listeners, they
Because
just
it's a
listen to
podcast.
him.
Who are you?
Just
What is your
Well,
name?
like I'm saying on the
No,
audio.
no, no, no,
I'm
no.
saying on the
Enough
audio.
of this.
On the audio,
This
They
is
don't
my
know that-
podcast.
they don't know.
This
that
is
the
my
guys-
show.
Listen. On the audio, they do not know that our guys basketball team won their playoff game last night. So
Now they
that's
do.
why I was shouting them out. So relax.
You relax.
You were the
You just started freaking out. What are you talking about?
Are we gonna move?
They're so.
Look at
They're so weird.
Are we
Pause
gonna,
on the beat. He's a fucking clown.
all right. Are we gonna talk about the proposed Western Conference now?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
So the proposed Western Conference in this realignment of the MLB. The Midwest division would be a new division. The Cubs, the White Sox, the Brewers, and the Twins.
That'd
like
be
this one.
interesting.
I like this one. The Cubs and the White Sox have never played each other very much, and I think it would be a great rivalry.
And they're in the same city.
They're in a great
North
city.
and South Side. Yeah.
It would be a great crosstown
I
rivalry.
agree with that.
And you could almost say the same thing of the Mets and the Yankees.
Yeah, I agree
You
with
could,
that.
you could almost say the same
More
thing with the
Subway
Mets and
Series
Yankees.
games. I mean, people were
There'd be
like
a lot more Subway
looking for them
Series
to play in
games.
the World Series.
Yeah,
I think that'd
exactly.
be a lot of revenue.
That would be a huge untapped.
Plus,
potential
with this
for
Midwest conference, those 4 teams are very average teams. Like they're just competitive.
Just why? Just why?
What is that?
Why?
What? I
She
didn't even
would
see
walk,
it.
but she like kept getting taller, like she's walking upstairs. That was the goof.
I didn't see that.
Okay.
That was kind of
But
funny.
in
I
What's
just
that?
look here. the
to
whole
your
time.
point,
Yeah, I'm looking.
that division would be very well evenly matched. It'd be very
That's
evenly.
unbelievable, bro. That's unbelievable.
It would be very
What the
evenly
hell?
matched, So like you have 4 teams around the same skill level, and I think that's a good realignment. I like that.
And it would like give more opportunity to these teams that like have teams that are way better than them in their
You just
divisions.
Oh,
Like
absolutely,
it'd be way more competitive because it's going to be 4 bum teams.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
The Southwest
Absolutely.
would be the Astros, Royals, Cardinals, and Rangers.
Astros, Royals.
Cardinals and Rangers.
Okay,
Astros are going to win the division.
that's a weird division.
It is a weird division. I don't really get the Cardinals being in there.
Wait, yeah, what?
Astros.
I would put them in the Southeast, not the
Well,
Southwest.
no, St. Louis, Missouri, and Kansas City
Yeah,
are
what
right next
What are
to
you
each
talking
other.
about? What are you talking
I
about?
thought Missouri was more.
This kid's off
east
of
than-
me, bro.
No.
Missouri and
He's off
Kansas
of
are
being,
right
bro.
next to each other.
Okay. Well, maybe.
You skip history class, buddy.
But
Hey,
yeah,
we're
the
not on the
Astros-
West Coast. Maine's on the East Coast, by the way.
The Astros would completely run away with that division.
Yeah.
There's just
Very.
although we did just talk about how the Rangers could be competitive in a couple of years.
Well, you have to also remember that this is all going to fluctuate, and if this did change, like this would, it would change who would win the division and stuff. But it's interesting to talk
Yeah,
about,
well,
the
the
teams now. Yeah,
The teams as where the teams stand now, the Rangers would be competitive in a couple of years.
correct.
The Pacific Coast, and I like this one. The Rockies, Athletics, Mariners, and Giants. It's kind of like
What?
It has one good team.
it has
The other three
it
teams
has
are terrible.
it has two pretty good teams, the Mariners and the Giants.
Giants, what? Were they below 500 last year?
They were, like,
Yeah, but
round
no, the year
500.
before that they
They
won
were 82
107
and
games.
82. Yeah, but that was
But they're not.
that
They're
was
not
a
a.
year that made no sense.
They're not a bad team, right? And the
Next year, I
Mariners.
don't think they're going to be.
Yeah.
They're
Mariners
they're
are
the
bad team.
worst place you can be as a franchise. They're in purgatory, which means you're just average. So they're in purgatory.
Okay, fair. Although I don't know if that's the worst place you can be, considering the Athletics are in this division too. Although if the Athletics
You
move,
get better picks though.
if the Athletics
Facts.
move to Vegas, does that do anything for them?
Hasn't done anything for the Raiders. So. I mean, from a revenue standpoint, yeah, but also like, I don't know.
They don't have the team to.
Las Vegas
Yeah.
is weird because like Las Vegas works for sports like hockey and football, and I think even basketball. But I don't know if baseball would work there.
I don't know either.
Because Las Vegas is weird. People don't live in Las Vegas.
Right now, people go to Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Have you ever been to
Um,
Vegas?
no. And the last
Well, you're Allen though.
stop. The last last proposed division would be the West, in the Western Conference. I think they could have came up with a more creative name, but Diamondbacks, Angels, Dodgers, and Padres.
It's a good division.
I like this one. The Dodgers and Padres stay
And
together,
the Diamondbacks.
and I think, and the Diamondbacks. I think having the Angels in this group of California teams is better than where they are now. And yes, I know they're with the Athletics, but I think having them with the Dodgers and Padres, I think it gives them, I don't know, just maybe a little more opportunity.
Yeah, sure.
The Diamondbacks, I don't think are even ever close to winning this division. Unless something radical.
They got
changes.
some young talent though. Corbin Carroll.
Yeah, but you know what?
Zach Allen.
Who's the rest of
Could
the
be a
division? The
signing.
Dodgers and the Padres super teams, you know. But I think you almost have to keep the Dodgers and Padres together because of. I feel like that's almost one of the bigger rivalries now.
That they've created over the years, yes.
Yeah, I think
It's-
that's an interesting
It's
one.
almost like one of the most hyped up rivalries now, and then that brings in certainly a lot of attention and a lot of money to the league. So that would make a lot of sense if they would want.
It's
to keep
also
it
tough. It's
together.
amazing that they've kind of done it because it's tough, especially for us East Coasters. They play at 10 o'clock at night, so you're usually not gonna stay up from 10
Yeah,
to 1 to watch a
Yeah,
game.
exactly.
So, and I will stay up from 10 to 1 to
And
watch
you
them
know,
play.
honestly, we talked about this a little bit last week, but it's kind of sad that a lot of the MLB's biggest stars are on the West Coast, and that we don't really get to experience over here, seeing a lot of them play, other than in clips and highlights and stuff.
Mhm.
Very true.
Very true. I agree with that.
I think the AL needs a few more super teams, particularly in the Central and the West, or at least more competitive teams. Although we did talk about how the Mariners are going to be very good. The Rangers are up and coming. So in a few years, it's possible it could change.
Yeah.
But so that's the potential realignment of the divisions. Now that we've gone through all of them, let's go around. Do we like the idea? Do we not like the idea?
Hell no.
No, absolutely not.
No.
I think it.
I'm
needs
fine
to-
with adding franchises, but
Yeah, adding franchises, but like realigning of divisions.
I'm okay if they would have to realign like that. I think
They
because
wouldn't have to, yeah, because you have to have like the equal amount of.
right
teams in
each
each division.
division, but not changing teams from the National League or the AL. You stay in what you're in.
I agree with that.
So
Because I don't think geography doesn't matter. They take
Okay.
private flights.
okay, fine. So if geography doesn't
They take private planes.
Yeah, like what?
if geography doesn't matter, which I tend to agree with you.
You
Um,
tend to.
Well, you know what I mean. So
What?
I like the expansion teams, but you're right. They would have to do some sort of realignment to kind of make it fair. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting idea for sure. I think it's something that would probably get more interest from a lot of fans than MLB has currently. I think it could be something that has an interesting effect on reviving the league a little bit
Yeah.
from its kind of lulled or dying off reputation at the moment.
Correct.
So I think it's certainly an interesting idea and something that I wouldn't mind seeing, especially with the expansion teams.
Yeah.